Welcome to the Introduction to Desk Director License Reporter. In this video, we'll talk about the overview of the IECB ServOrg app licensing solution. We'll take a closer look at the components of the IECB ServOrg app licensing solution, which is installed within the service organization's environment alongside the IECB ServOrg library. Let's begin with the cloud flows. The first flow is the DD event receive licensing report request. This flow is triggered when a ticket for a licensing report request is submitted. It collects important data from the request, including the frequency, how often the licensing report needs to be exported, the recipients, the email addresses of those who should receive the report, and the desk director ticket details such as the ticket ID and account ID. This information is then passed to the next flow, HTTP request process licensing report request. This flow is triggered when an HTTP request is received, offering flexibility in how the licensing report request solution is initiated. It sets up inputs for the IECB ServOrg command broker, including the command name, which points to the DD command flow in the IECB CustorG app licensing solution in the customer organization's environment, like DD command extract licensing report. The account ID, which corresponds to the company ID of the customer organization and desk director. A config, JSON, which includes desk director server details like DD host, DD Hosturi, and account information. And finally, a payload, JSON, which includes the recipients for the licensing report. Next, we have the scheduled process licensing report. This scheduled flow runs daily, checking the IECB licensing report request table for CustorG reports that need to be generated. It then triggers the HTTP request process licensing report request flow to process those reports. Now, let's move on to the connections references that help integrate the solution. The service relies on a connection to Desk Director, ensuring that ticketing and communications are handled properly. Additionally, the solution connects to Microsoft Dataverse for data storage and management. The solution also relies on an environment variable called IECB Licensing Request Type ID. This variable stores the ID for the licensing report request type item in the service organization's Desk Director server. Finally, the solution includes the IECB licensing report request table, which tracks the customer organizations subscribed to the licensing report service. It stores essential details like the account ID, ticket ID, frequency, and the next report date. And that wraps up the overview of the IECB ServOrg app licensing solution. In the next video, we'll learn about Licensing Reporter Portal.